ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Prince John Internet TV. If I want to experience the fanciest things, I must be at that same vibration and create the nicest things. If I want to wear a Rolex, it's more than just the money expenditure, it's the effort and dedication that goes behind the creation that should match up with whatever I'm purchasing. It is more satisfying and sustainable to earn the money that it takes to purchase it rather than it just simply be given. I believe my perfect match will be someone who likes me as I am, not somebody who will challenge me to become better or someone who I have to impress with things beyond myself, my own personality. I think it's impossible to get or win over a spouse, and that I can only prepare for her and try and notice signs that suggest a good potential match, and do the light work, of course. And rather than some abstract thing, I think it's realistic to say that a good match is when two people mutually agree that they're both good for each other. Okay, instead of fighting a person, try diplomacy, or perhaps a sneak attack. And oftentimes the whistle will work to your advantage. If you need to blow it, you can subdue the opponent, the aggressor's angry words, and get attention, and just create get control of the situation. I would not bow to a king because consider myself like a warrior, like a prince, and this is a democratic place in which we all have an equal vote as long as we are 18 and over. Suggesting that we are all warrior princes or princesses, and in a spiritual sense, and in the conventional sense, or the public sense, we're all equal voting wise. If my strategy to vote is taken into consideration, where everyone votes, and that's how we determine what to do with the military and with the border and other nationwide issues. Okay, remember the difference between saying you and they, and using the I affirmative language. That's what I try to do in this show. For instance, instead of saying I think you should do light work, I'd say things like I do light work. And this, I believe, affects the subconscious mind. I think that to say a person is missed like I miss a person is a lie. I believe that I would only be missing the words and actions that they do, and that I can replicate them, suggesting that genuine flattery is simply a replication of behavior and mimicking the other person. That way I won't miss a person when they pass away. I think I have all the answers when I ask myself the questions and then write down my answer, and really try to play roles with myself, use my mind and get creative, instead of having to hire somebody or depend on another person to listen to me. And I try to make things as nice as possible. I think there's going to be enough knowledge of how to use the abundance that is on Earth to serve everyone. I sometimes wonder why overweight people don't lose weight, since there is information on health readily available. I think it's the same reason that I am hesitant to take responsibility for my finances. I feel suicidal sometimes when thinking about dealing with my own finances. I think this desire to be suicidal is related to desire to acquire attention. And I don't usually feel like this, but it does happen. And I think this is a result of hoping that somebody else will take care of my finances and that I can't do it on my own. Uh, okay, I don't trust anyone who doesn't make like the light work a priority. I mean, I'm entertained by people, I associate with people, and try to have a good time. But nonetheless, I still take my life seriously and my religion. And I recognize when other people may say, "Oh, the light work sounds great," but they don't do it in their life. I think children should be taught, when they reach puberty, that life is about sex. It's not about alcohol or workaholism or the acquisition of non-essential material goods or going on vacations, but it's about pleasuring yourself and pleasuring a spouse. And I expect people I hang out with to be interested in wanting a spouse and wanting to raise children, as opposed to just play around and be casual with life. I think there are various forms of communication, but formal English is more practical and graceful, and I try not to be angry at people with poor communication skills. I think it's wise not to work if one is angry or work with others, because that can lead to accidents. The good news is that most of the suffering in the world can be healed by humans. Even though I think there is a dark force or devil, or you might call it an interdimensional being, the majority of problems are caused by meat eaters and drug addicts, and a lack of knowledge. But I will help make life more enjoyable and effortless. If the entire world spoke the same language and used the same currency, life would be easier. Let our collective objective be to make everything, be more resourceful and sustainable. For instance, if I had to use, a reusable bottle, then people in China, they don't have to produce the bottles, and therefore they can spend more time with recreational activities such as bedroom time. And so I recommend to older people or unhealthy people to consider humane suicide, because I believe the only thing that matters most is having an intimate relationship with myself and in the future my spouse. And if it's difficult or inconvenient to achieve either of these as a result of old age or major health problems, then I'm going to consider suicide. If I come from fear and the hope that people will reciprocate my friendly gestures so when I greet people, then, it's fear. But alternatively, I can come from unconditional love. For example, let's say I'm walking, and I look at somebody. I think it's important to look at everyone and just smile. Don't try to take from them something like, I don't look too long, like hope that they will smile back at me. But yet I just let it flow, let it be my world, and not try to control others' reactions. So it's not about popularity, but it's about helping the needs of people and help people to get married. I think some people want money so they can get a physically attractive person. I think anyone can give good oral pleasure, and that is it is important because people can't always have intercourse, but always can pleasure each other in the oral sense. And I want to have a woman who's a good match for me. I think it's important to not think I'm better than others, but simply be happy. I think if you're in a bad mood, it will only take 20 seconds to change that. Breathe, see a person that you might be upset at smiling, and do some light work. Try depending on the light work. Instead of thinking I am upset at somebody else because of their differences, and thinking I'm not as smart as they're not as smart as me. Like for instance, I'm better at dieting. I try to focus on the feelings and realize I want to feel good, not necessarily be right. I think the pain and suffering has disappeared somewhat since I became a vegetarian, and my life has been better. You know, how do you know what their best religion is? I think a religion consists of a religious practice. So how to be happy and make life good in the Christian sense would be to read the Bible and pray to a supernatural deity. In my religion, I do the light work. Visualize people smiling, self-pleasure, eat vegetarian food, and look at me and then, look at other people. And remember that wealth can be measured in happiness and health. Probably the best way to measure it, because I don't think we'll always need money on a day-to-day basis, but we'll need good health and happiness. I've noticed that sometimes I like to impress others and not focus on family. I'm trying to make that something that I'm conscious of. Like for instance, if somebody believes in the light work like I do, then I don't have to drive an Escalade to impress them. They'll like me and want to be around me naturally. Okay, so don't worry about anything. All we need in this world is a little organization. I think even if you are in disagreement with your spouse, try to make pleasuring each other the most important thing, and then you can make exceptions for each other. If one person wants to listen to certain music or eat a certain food, then you can make an allowance so that nothing gets in between you and your spouse in the bedroom. So that way you leave some room for each other's individuality. See you next time. Aloha.